Greetings and welcome to Get Prepared and Begin Your Job Search. Hi there, it's Ann Mossop, your employment specialist at Downsview. And we're going to start with the basics because I don't know what's happening, but we're not really seeing people getting out there and really putting in the effort it requires to be successful in your job search, especially if you want to be happy, in the next position that you're going to be filling. So just like this picture says, you got to start training sometime. And we definitely have the analogy with the Olympics that are wrapping up right now. I'll say that because we're in the summer. And you might hear my air conditioner kick in. I have one of those old window air conditioners. Anyways, welcome. My name, as I said, is Ann Mossop. And during these times, define normal. What does that mean? Even in our environment at work, we are dealing with a face-to-face model. That's what the model of employment services is, that we're providing a face-to-face model for service. So it has been pandemonium during the pandemic, and we've tried to switch over as much as possible. And I know I've definitely am zooming all over the place, and you do kind of get tired of it, but you know what? This is here to stay. They're calling it hybrid learning or hybrid working, where, it's part of the time, the old model, and part of the time is the new model of providing service online. And a good example is the food industry, or even just a grocery store. Yes, they had online services previously, but with the pandemic happening, it's just a way of, shopping now that everybody is taking advantage of. So it has grown. The restaurant industry, I don't know what the statistics are, but again, it's still an ordering online and delivery model. So we've got all kinds of normals where we went in and did things in face-to-face situations. So normal is changing all the time. And you have to think in terms of the environment that you're looking into. What is normal going to be when you're going out there and looking for a new job? And a good example would be maybe if you're 16 or 17, looking for an online job at home isn't probably going to happen. It's just not the norm for jobs that would employ a 16 or a 17-year-old. Customer service jobs, you're going to have to, you can't pick the best situation and then keep your fingers crossed and hope somebody's going to want you. You have to make a decision. What are you targeting? What is the job title of what you're targeting? And what does it look like? What is normal for that industry in today's environment? I like this, I really like this expression or this quote because, life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. It's not Wheel of Fortune. It's not swing the wheel and hope, turn the wheel and hope you land on jackpot. The stick figure in the middle shows it. You have to do some heavy lifting. Nobody's going to chase after you or run after you with a job. And you need to keep your skills up to date, and you need to make sure that your resume is meeting the current market conditions. If you're using the same old that you've always used, it's not going to work. You have to make some significant changes. And these workshops and webinars that we present and our recorded library of webinars is here at your disposal to take advantage of. So take advantage of everything that's here for you to use. So some of the figures, whoops, I'm tongue-tied, are mowed down by change, and the one in the middle is rising to the challenge of change and doing some heavy lifting. As I said, nobody's going to hand you a job, hand you a beautiful resume, hand you anything. It does require a commitment on your behalf because you are selling you. You are the product in today's market. So by the end of today's session, I'm really going to focus on identifying the 6 job search tips that are so basic, people always forget them. And then I've got some mention that I'll make about other workshops that you can tie into. If it's resumes and picking a resume style, being aware of applicant tracking systems, then which resume fits best is a recorded session that you need to find and seek in our recorded sessions. It's usually on our calendar as well. Knowing what your skills are, there is a workshop or recorded webinar, how to convey your accomplishments. And this goes for resumes and interviews. We're not really going to go into a whole lot of detail other than the 6 tips. And you have to understand that, as I said, nobody's running after you to fill a job. As a matter of fact, we're seeing a lot of people shifting their occupation and seeing it as an ideal time to make a switch. So if you're just sitting back and waiting for somebody to come and get you, you're going to have a long wait. So you have to understand that it takes motivation, it takes commitment, and it takes effort, to achieve meaningful employment. So yeah, if you want to go to Craigslist, which we don't recommend, that's not really an effective job search, and you need to know what exactly does a good job search look like and how are you going to progress from here. So it's logical. Hopefully the kids are going back to school and everything will work out as far as a return to somewhat normality. And just to give you an overview of what the requirements are, there's various different formats of resumes and cover letters and interview styles and all of those things that you need to be aware of. So we're going to break a few things down, that big boulder of job search, and we're going to break it into smaller pieces, more easy to work with pieces. So we're going to take a look at the whole to some extent and then break it into pieces so that we can achieve that whole over time as we're working through our job search process. And if you're not investing a minimum of 25 hours per week on your job search, then you're not really conducting an effective job search. So there's a lot of research that has to go into it, a lot of thought, a lot of targeting, a lot of adjusting that needs to happen. So you need to get started on that and get familiar with what you need to be doing correctly to be successful. You have to break those larger pieces down into workable and doable things. And that's why at the end, I will talk about what your next steps, tongue-tied again, sorry, what your next steps are and what is your action that you need to take right after even today's workshop. So here I am. My name is Ann Mossop. I'm the employment specialist at the Next Steps Employment Center, the one that's located in Downsview. I am going to ask you to fill in an evaluation form at the end. It's important for us to know the statistics of how many people are attending and your feedback. We've also got our main website, www.next-steps.on.ca. Please go in and take a look at that particular website. And do feel free to contact me if I can be of any assistance. If you're a Downsview client or not, put a call out to me and I will call you back and I will guide and direct you to where you need to be and go if you are not currently a Downsview Next Steps client. So even though this is a recorded session, you're going to be introducing yourself many times during a job search process. So we need to make sure that you're strong and powerful. I think our client on the right there is looking a little scared. I see that look a lot of times in the workshops and even through the webinars. But you have to get accustomed to introducing yourself. And that means talking at a level that people can hear you. Because when people can't hear you and you're saying your name and doing an introduction, It makes them think you are a very passive person, which is not the ideal in our work environment. And it also makes them feel that you do not have confidence. So practice your introduction and what is the title of the job that you are targeting? What is your job target? And just saying, oh, I don't want anything. No, you have to be specific. So if you're sort of looking for anything, in a lot of cases, you're looking for something that has customer service in it. Customer service is always a great title to start with and then work out from there and get more specific. But customer service is also a requirement of absolutely every single job. So if you don't like people, it's not always a good thing to indicate that in a cover letter or in your resume. And maybe you don't like dealing with the general public, but maybe you work well in groups and so on. So yeah, be specific about what you're looking for. Even when you're talking to friends and family, if you don't know what you're looking for, no one else can give you ideas or brainstorm with you or network or help you because you're a blank page and, oh, I'll take anything. It's like, well, that's not really true. You must have some kind of an expectation. So the other question that I always ask is, what are your expectations after today's presentation? What were you hoping to learn? You came here for something in particular. So what are you hoping to see? Maybe this isn't the right workshop, so stay because I do have some recommendations. Okay, so it's not your favorite thing, meeting other people, but it's a part of a job search and you have to get used to and accustomed to introducing yourself. So tip number one, you've got to make yourself smack in the forehead obvious fit. And what that means is you have to be aware of applicant tracking systems that are used, those scanners. And it's not just peppering a couple of words here and there. It is following and paying close attention to integrating those words effectively into your resume and making sure that you're making it through those applicant tracking systems onto a person who can look at your resume. A lot of online postings give a lot of detail. If there isn't a lot of detail for a particular posting, you've got other postings that you can sort of make some comparisons to. And you have to be on the ball about how to target it and how to change your keywords. So a pro tip that I wanted to give you is you really need to study the job description and any available information that you have on that particular position and company. So go in and research their website, see if they're on Glassdoor, see if there's any recommendations, any feedback. Are you mirroring the words and phrases in the job description? Are you using the same language? Because with keywords, it's not just, oh, I said communication and the posting said communicating. Well, it doesn't see it as a keyword match. It's a variation of the word or a derivation of the word, but it's not the word. And that's why making sure that you're showcasing your strengths in the areas that are paramount in the particular role that you're targeting, it's important. So, it's just like lining up the plane for the runway. Line it up so that you have a smooth landing and you make it obvious for them to reach out and ask for an interview. Don't limit yourself just to online applications during your job search. There's so much out there with social marketing, social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and you can use social media to find out about social media. So anything that you want to know, Google, YouTube, look it up, and it's easy to figure out how to create a LinkedIn, how to do any kind of social media use YouTube, and there's so many different learning platforms on YouTube that you can tap into. So during this time, those informational interviews, which we talk about in other workshops, but you do need to be familiar with this networking process. So I'm just touching base with it very lightly. You need to talk to people. People talk to people. Talk to peers, people that you've worked with previously, stay in touch. This is where LinkedIn can be so handy at connecting back up with people. Get on the radar of the very people who might influence you getting an interview in a particular company or position, which brings me to, what are your top 10 companies that you want to work for? Put your hands on the steering wheel. You can steer the bus, but you're not steering the bus if you're just reacting to job postings that come your way, or you're constantly searching online 24/7. It isn't going to work. And I'm pretty sure you're probably maybe getting some results, but your results could be much, much more, much better. And for those of you who have had no results, definitely you can improve that too. So again, line up with people on the outside of the companies at which you want to work. You can instantly set yourself apart from other job seekers. Decision makers interview people who recommend or are recommended by way of a personal referral before they start sorting through that blob of resumes that arrive by way of that applicant tracking system, the ATSs. As a matter of fact, in the financial industry, I know CIBC, it's a common practice in certain industries to pay a referral fee to staff who refer someone of high quality, and they are onboarded, they are hired. There's a fee that's paid to the person because they steered them in the direction of the bank, and they ended up being an excellent fit. So they like those inside referrals, and it is one way to get on people's radar too. I like this one. Remember that your resume and your LinkedIn profile is not a tattoo. It is not something that's going to stay the same forever. And I mean, let's face it, even if you have a tattoo, when you get older, that tattoo may not look exactly like it did when you were, 20, 30, when you first got your tattoo. You've got to treat them like it's a living, breathing document throughout your job search and your career. It's not something you can distance yourself from. It's something that you should constantly reflecting on, making changes, making adjustments, learning more, sorting out your results and finding out what works more effectively. And it's going to change. It's not something that's going to stay the same forever, because it has to be targeted and specific to the position that you are responding to. If you're a covert job seeker in particular, as I said, right now, there's a lot of people jumping ship because as opportunities open, this is a perfect time to make a switch. So remember to turn off your activity broadcasts, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on LinkedIn. Make sure that your privacy settings are such that when you make edits, it's not going out to everybody that you have a connection with on your LinkedIn profile. And the reason being, if your current boss or your colleagues, if they're connected on LinkedIn, they might get suspicious about all of those frequent changes that you're making on your LinkedIn profile, and especially if they're on your profile. In a lot of cases, I know it's our personal LinkedIn. However, I work for the Toronto District School Board, so my messaging on my LinkedIn does have to somewhat align with what we are all about. And I'm cognizant of making sure that that's what I am presenting to the public, because clients always check you out on LinkedIn too. I love this picture. accept that you will never bore anyone into hiring you. So it's something that you need to be prepared for. An actor doesn't step out on the stage and have the book in his hand and start reading out of the book. It takes staging and practice and preparation and dress rehearsals. And you have to know what you are going to say to some extent before you speak in an interview. And that means using your par, car, and star examples, telling your stories, because you will never bore people if you tell some interesting stories. So, wrong, wrong, wrong. Don't bore people. Realize that a few people get hired because they had perfect white space on their cover letter, or they memorized all the correct answers during an interview question. You have to realize that there has to be that genuine connection, that is touching the other people too on an emotional level during an interview. And if you're always just playing it incredibly safe and using common phraseology or cliches, they're not going to be terribly impressed. And especially if you're doing that in your resume. All of this correctness is going to make you look like you're a staged and a non-genuine candidate. Instead, you have to give yourself permission to be both polished and endearing, and have the finesse and to communicate effectively during an interview without looking like a deer in the headlights. Memorable, likable candidates are almost always going to go the distance. They're the ones that are going to get hired. And you got to make yourself interesting. You have to be precise and exact when you're giving your examples. You can't just list off, I have customer service, organization planning, blah, 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 blah. List, 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 list. And then you think you've communicated that you have those skills. Well, you haven't, because you haven't demonstrated it in an example. Tell me a story. Tell me a story that answers that question. People are surprised. If you're not on LinkedIn, you very nearly don't exist. If you are intending to be a part of the labor market, then I would say it's a pretty good idea. Whether you like it or not, it is a part of how our labor market functions right now. And I do have to be honest, I've been on LinkedIn right from the very beginning, and job searching and with resumes and personal information. And I have never heard of anyone's identity being stolen during a job search. I have never heard that in over 25 years. So I love this because it's procrastination. I'll find a picture for it later. And that's pretty typical. So you have to realize that regardless of what level you're targeting, your LinkedIn profile is going to be as elaborate or inelaborate as it needs to be, depending on what you're targeting. But it is always a good idea to have a profile on LinkedIn if you are in the labor force. Think about it this way. If tomorrow morning a recruiter logs on to LinkedIn looking for someone in your geography with your expertise in what you do and you're not there, guess who's going to get and find the contact? Guess who's going to get the job? Yes, the person's name is not you, okay? It's going to be the person that has a LinkedIn profile and is engaged and looking for those opportunities. If you figure out how to harness your power with no social media, please let me know, because it is a job search tool. You have to figure out LinkedIn, and it is by far the best resource available for today's career and job seekers, for networking and finding people who work at companies of interest, and for positioning yourself to be found by the right recruiter who has a relevant job opening for you. So the message here is just do it. Get started, start scheduling your time, stop procrastinating. You're hurting yourself and you're hurting your chances and you're hurting your family's chances of getting things back to normal. If you're not at least starting to look, you still have the option at this point, if it doesn't work with your lifestyle or babysitting or whatever, you don't have to say take something that's going to put you in a worse situation. That being said, you know your circumstances. Only you can answer those questions. I like this. This is the masked procrastinator. I guess that's what we're going back to too, the masked procrastinator. Hold on, I haven't got my mask on yet. Well, a new normal, we are going to probably have to be wearing masks, so not a good item for Ms. Procrastinator to leave off. Protecting her inner city from crime, evildoers, maybe this afternoon or sometime tomorrow if she gets a chance. So procrastination impacts all of us in our personal lives and achieving our goals and especially our career goals. So if you're procrastinating on your job search, it's easy to get back on track. And one of the best ways you can start is to start scheduling your time, making sure that you're not cramming it with everything, but just have some things in there that are moving you forward, things to look forward to, and that you're not getting up on Monday morning to an empty calendar. Another important tip, number 6, your thank you note matters. You know, if you send somebody, sometimes we will send people for a particular job. And we hear this back from employers all the time. A really thoughtful, non-robotic thank you note to each person that you interviewed with. Within about 2 hours of leaving the office, send them a thank you note. And the other candidate sent nothing in this particular instance. So you can take yourself from being second choice to being first choice because you showed that interest subsequently. And it's just a nicety that is really part of the manners of after a job interview. Guess why the candidate got the offer? Well, yeah, because they thought a thoughtful, non-robotic thank you note, they sealed the deal, especially considering the other front runner sent nothing. They had a contact after the interview. So you're sending an important message once you've had an interview that you are interested and that you want them to know and state your interest. And a pro tip is always to craft an original, genuine thank you note, genuine from the heart. One for each interviewer the moment you get back to a computer following an interview. The speed with which you send that note and the quality will make an impact. And remember, oh, I can't do that. You run home and do something ahead of time so that you have something that is non-robotic and genuine that you can add maybe a few personal details to and craft it for a different one for each person. You can even make it designed specifically to some of the questions that they've asked. And if you're functioning and in the moment during an interview, these are all things that you can make note of. It's just you have to be aware and in the moment so that you can address things and not freak out and look like that deer in the headlights. So job search, remember that the interviewer cares much more about what you can do for them as opposed to what you want. And that's just the nature of the interview process. Now, that being said, an interview means two people looking at each other. Certainly, they're going to care a bunch about what you once did and how you established your worth. But during the interview, you must demonstrate why you make business sense to them to hire you, period. So after today and my pep talk, I hope it was a pep talk, go forth and show your job search exactly who the boss is. It's you. It's your job search. You have to do the heavy lifting, and we're here to support you with a safety net, with help, with feedback, because nobody can, work anything effectively necessarily if you're not getting some feedback. You can't work in isolation during a job search. So that's number 7 to remember. Now, the resume formats that I was going to talk about, I'm just quickly going to mention here: chronological, functional, combination. The combination hybrid is now the most popular style. And if you're in technical, if you're in IT and for some technical project management, the format is a little bit different, but I'm really talking specific to IT. Sometimes that can include a business analyst or a data analyst, but there are various formats that you need to be aware of and which one fits you best. Which brings me to which resume fits best. Write that down. It's a recorded session, and I guarantee you'll have a very clear understanding of applicant tracking systems, how they work, what you need to do, and how you can design your resume to meet both masters, the applicant tracking system to get through to that recruiter or that hiring person. And it's not the HR manager. It is an HR recruiter within an organization, or someone is designated as the HR recruiter within an organization. I always call this the 3 R's. It's kind of a metamorphosis. And the analogy that I always use is the caterpillar to the cocoon, and then the beautiful butterfly emerges. I'm not sure if I've got that right. Yeah, I think I do. Yeah. But the point being, you have to rethink, recreate, reinvent yourself. If you're looking for a new job, you are not the same person that you were, or the same person that you were when you were doing this job somewhere else. You have to see and look at yourself from every single perspective, and you have to make a decision as to where you fit back into that market. And rethinking, recreating, and reinventing yourself, part of it is changing your cover letters, making sure you're current, being on social media, having a proper resume, and attending all the recorded sessions and live sessions if it's relevant to your job search. You don't know everything, and you need to be more aware if you're going to be successful, if you want to emerge that beautiful butterfly. So from the employer's perspective, if we put ourselves in the employer's shoes, there's only really one thing. It's 3 letters. An employer is seeking a good fit. And in today's world, it's your skills and your personality. So it's also, are you going to fit in with the other tribe members? Tribe meaning the corporate culture and the other employees. And that is important in today's world of work. We communicate with an employer on our resume and in our interviews. I mentioned briefly the how to convey accomplishments and achievements on your resume and during interviews. We communicate with employers by using PAR or CAR or STAR. PAR stands for problem plus action equals result. CAR, challenge, action, result. STAR, situation, task, action, result. They all convey accomplishments. And again, it's a question of attending, how to convey your achievements and accomplishments, resumes and interviews. It's a recorded session. And I think it's on the calendar for this month as well. Usually it's on there too. But if you click through to sign up, you'll find it in the listing for recorded webinars. And as I say, we all listen to the same radio station. So the employer, yeah, they're looking for the best candidate. It's two people looking at each other, but you have to be mindful that the employer has the pot of gold and you want the pot of gold. So the power in that a particular situation does seem a little off balance. However, you can still make decisions based on what you observe during an interview. We all listen to WIIFM. It's called WIFM, and it stands for What's in It for Me. And what that simply means is the employer, the whole time he's talking to you, they're trying to assess your skills, your strengths, and decide what's in it for me. What are you going to do for us? And if you're not targeting in your language or speaking in those terms, they aren't going to reach for you and hire you because your message is way off point. So again, we need to line up our messaging so that we can land that airplane on the tarmac and with smooth and no bumps. And I always recall this because I started my career in sales. When I was in high school, I worked at the local Sears, and I learned so much about sales and customer service when I was doing that job. And early in my career, I also took some sales training and I learned about features of a product and tying the benefit back to whoever it is that you're trying to sell something to. So features don't sell a product. So when I said you're listing off, I have organization, I have planning, I have blah, 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 project management. If you don't tie back those skills, if you don't tell a story and tell us what the benefit or the result was at the end, then your message will not be received and you will not be the person hired. So these are all things that we have to be aware of through the whole process. And it's not even, you don't even have 20 seconds. Actually, they've done studies and they say you've got 6 seconds when it gets in front of a pair of eyes. And actually, it's funny, I just listened to a video and it was very supportive in we scan in a Z pattern. So we start in the left and we move to the right and we go back and forth and back and forth. If we know how we approach scanning and taking in information, then we can put the information where it's going to get noticed, and we can use language that's going to get a pop and really convey the message extremely well. So people just eyeball scan. It's like you don't start in the top left of the newspaper and read to the bottom right. You scan for headlines and you then go into more detail. So if it gets a closer look after that initial 6 seconds, then they'll come back to it and it will get a closer look. But you've got to get their attention first and you got to make it through the applicant tracking systems. On your resume and in any marketing piece where you position the information is key. The most important real estate on your resume is the top half of that first page, top half to, well, the first page is important real estate. But we want to position the information where it gets noticed best. And again, which resume fits best. The recorded session will also talk to you and address those particular characteristics as well. And we have to remember that powerful communication, let me try that again. Powerful communication happens when we say it once and we say it powerfully. So repeating the same tasks and duties over and over and over again gets really boring. So even picking different aspects of your positions, if you're going back in the past that are the most relevant towards what you're targeting, can further enhance your targeting abilities. I love this picture too. Yeah, we don't want to know about that one. Yeah, that was a Christmas party last year. Anyways, when you're in doubt, leave it out. It is all based on relevance. Um, you put all of your work history. We start at the present and we go back, and you put all of your education, and we start at the present and you go backwards. We can group education and training or education and professional development together. But if these things are to have any weight or significance, you need all of the details. So for professional development, if you've taken a lot of courses, but you don't know who it's through, can't remember the year, you forget what it was called, then don't put it on there. If I think back in my career between the financial industry and where I am now, I've attended over 1,000, different workshops because I've been in the labor market as long as I have by virtue of that. Am I going to list them all? No. I'm trying to demonstrate actually through how I interact in an interview and on my resume what I have to offer so that they can reach for me. You have to remember the employer's mindset. Oops, this picture moved to the front. Sorry about that. The employer's mindset is, oh, I've got to find the perfect candidate. No, if I get 1,000 resumes in, I am thinking, how am I going to get rid of 999 of them? They usually do some of that through phone screening and then shortlisting candidates. And you have to consider getting an interview as a success. So that's what's missing behind that head there. Success is getting an interview. So, hey, thumbs up, I got an interview. The other workshop that I would recommend to you, just as I'm getting ready to close, cover letter secrets revealed. And I chuckled when I was recording this because I said, it must be a real secret because I don't see anybody doing this. Your cover letter is as important as your resume. So yeah, it must be top secret, but again, it's a recorded session that I strongly recommend go through, and you will understand the purpose of both is very different, and having high quality materials means everything in today's market. We talked about that. So we're back at kind of our end here. I talked and identified the 6 job search tips that are so basic, people forget them. So I hope you wrote them down and you haven't forgotten them. If you did, you know what? You have to go back and you have to replay it all over again. Just kidding. Which resume fits best for appropriate styles of resumes and how to write a resume, what's popular right now, and so on. The different skills to feature in your resume, again, is something that we talk about in how to convey your accomplishments, resume, and interviews. This is also in our recorded library. So anytime you register on the current calendar, and take a look at the listing of all of the workshops we're offering for that particular month. You can easily click on the recorded sessions, all the recorded sessions that you want to attend, and you will receive the Zoom links and the evaluation for that particular workshop. And that is really important to us. So I hope you understand that you can't just do the same old thing and expect to be successful. Good enough is not good enough. Mediocre isn't going to cut it. Excellence is what employers are looking for, and making sure that you're current and you understand all of the current titles and ways of presenting yourself is very important. They want tech savvy people. So I'm going to introduce a little action card. So what will you be doing? You're here listening and knowing something means absolutely nothing. Implementing moving to action, that means something. So, what are you going to start to do? I've mentioned 3 great workshops that you can take advantage of. Which resume fits best, how to convey your accomplishments, resume and interview. And also I talked about, what was the other one I talked about? Oh, cover letter secrets revealed. See, even I forgot. It's so top secret, I forgot to even think about it. So what do you need to start to do? This one, it's usually that P word, the masked procrastinator that's in all of us. And if that's you, then you need to stop being a procrastinator and start scheduling your time. Connect with me. I'm a really nice person and I can be very helpful to you in your job search. You need to do some heavy lifting. So stop procrastinating. You're already doing some great things. I mean, we've been at this for a while now. So if you're taking breaks in the day and you're making sure that you get fresh air, and if you're taking care of yourself, self-care, and if you're taking care of a family, whatever your situation is, you're doing some good things. What do you need to continue? Just jot it down on a piece of paper. If you have any questions subsequent to today's workshop, as I said, my name is Ann Mossop. I'm an employment specialist at the Downsview location. I'm Ann.Mossop at TDSB, Toronto District School Board, .on.ca. We are funded through the Ministry of Labour, Skills, Training and Development under the umbrella of Employment Ontario, which is in part funded by the Government of Canada. We just happen to be operated by the Toronto District School Board. There are some 400 services strategically located throughout the province, and the TDSB operates but 7. But we're good. We're good. So reach out to me. The Next Steps Employment Center is at Chesswood and Shepherd, in between Shepherd West and Downsview Park subway station, easy to get to. And our website is www.next-steps.ca. This is Ann Mossop. If you've got any questions, please contact me. And on behalf of all of our centers, tap into all of the recorded sessions. Thank you. Dankeschön. Merci beaucoup. Thank you for joining me today. Gracias. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here and to assist and help any way we can. If you will take a moment, please feel free to contact, and there is one-on-one coaching sessions available. But again, we do ask that you do some heavy lifting first. So take advantage of all the great resources that are there for you. And originally, when you get sent the links, there is an evaluation link. Please go through and evaluate all of the workshops that you watch. And your feedback is really important. And we don't get credit for attendance if you don't give us some feedback. So it's important for you to follow up. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And connect with me. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It's the one that is most adaptable to change. And that's a picture of Charles Darwin. Thank you. Don't forget to send your evaluation, and wishing you all the best in your job search from Ann Mossop. Take care. Talk soon, I hope. Remember, we're here. Take advantage. Oops, I can't get out now. Bye.